Legend of Korra is quite possibly the best animated cartoon of all time. No bullshit.
When I say who's the master, you say show no.
Welcome back, everybody, to Super Saturday Legend of Korra special. I know it sounds gay, but I'm saying it anyway. All right, so this show is so incredible. Like, uh, you know, if you'd have asked me 12 episodes ago if The Legend of Korra would be my favorite show ever, I would be telling you that you're crazy. But, here we are 12 episodes later, and this just made my weekend. I mean, I'm so enamored with this show. It's ridiculous. These writers have outdone themselves. Like, I didn't think anything could be better than the original Avatar series. But honestly, I can say now that the first season is over, that this show, by far, I won't even say by far, it is the perfect continuation of a series that I enjoy, that you all enjoy, and I'm just excited. But again, I'm done praising and fanboying. I'm going to get into this episode because a whole lot to cover. This is going to be a longer episode than I normally do, but I'm sure you guys will appreciate it. You're as excited as I am about everything that we've seen. Let's get into it. All right, so before I get started, I asked myself, what did I want to see from this last two episodes to be able to give this season a perfect score? Because overall, not every episode was a 5, but overall, to me, it was turning out to be a perfect season. And there were still some questions that needed to be answered, and I wanted to make sure I got all my answers and got some closure before the end of the season, finished. And I asked myself, what did I need to know? And I said, number one, I need to figure out what happened with what the deal is with Amon. How can he take away people's bending? What's his true identity? What's going on with, is my love of my life, Li Bei Fong, don't tell my wife, gonna get her bending back? All of these questions, and, I got a lot of answers. I'll put it to you like that. I don't want to give away too much any first, but again, let's get into it. So, episode 11 starts off, Skeleton in the Closet, starts off with the aftermath of Team Avatar losing the battle at Air Temple Island and having to retreat underground of Republic City to regroup. Asami and Mako are still having relationship issues. He's pretty much given up on Asami. Like Asami is like this. He can't even see her. Like, he is shooting a straight bullet towards Korra, and that's where he finally figured out what he wants. Now, one thing I didn't like about that, the fact that Bolin was pretty much in love with Korra first. He actually met Korra first, and I feel like once she kissed Mako, he was upset about it. But we didn't even get much reaction else from him since that episode. Like, it's almost like his feelings for Korra haven't even shown again. Like, especially when she was kidnapped, I'm like, you were the person that was in love with her first, and you let your brother's showing more emotion for her than you are. I just thought that was a little weird. Like, I guess for the whole Korra Mako fans that wanted to see them together, I guess after that, the writers must have downplayed the whole Bolin situation, of course, he's not going to be with the Avatar. That's just not going to happen. So, essentially what's going on here is this triangle is finally coming to a head, and we're going to try to get this thing resolved. So, then we'll have to go back. After that, they're basically underground, and they actually figure out that the next fleet of ships are coming in. The first fleet of ships are coming in, being led by General Iroh, who is Zuko's grandson, because, again, you learn later on that he even said it himself, my grandfather would definitely follow the path of the Avatar. So that basically just tells you that General Iroh is Zuko's grandson. Which we all, at first in my last video, I didn't know who the hell he was. I thought he was his son, but I thought he was too young to be the son. So apparently it's Zuko's daughter's son, his grandson. So he's actually a badass. Let me stop for a second to talk about General Iroh and his role in this war. He's basically the leader of the unified, whatever the name of that his fleet is. I can't remember, but anyway, he actually played a huge role in this actual season finale. In episode 1, it's literally an all-out sea battle, and Amon has like airships. It was almost like Pearl Harbor out there. It was crazy. I mean, the planes were coming in, they were destroying the battleships left and right. Korra dove in the water. She tried her best to try to stop as many of them as she could, and you know, it wasn't really working out in her favor. It actually got to a point where General Iroh, he actually got up to the top of one of the battleships and was just like firebending and knocking ships out of the air. It was so epic. Like I'm telling you, like the fighting choreographing in this show was near flawless. Like it was just so good. Like everything, like literally had me on the edge of my seat. Like I'm sitting here watching this show like it's like a blockbuster movie. Like luckily for me, like I said, I mean, not to brag, but I have a 125-inch TV. So, you know, I'm sitting here watching it with my surround sound blasting, and like it's just epic. So, you know, anyway, so what happens is that the actual fleet gets destroyed by Amon's airships between the sea mines underneath the water and the planes attacking, and it was a surprise. They weren't really prepared for it. And it's actually just weird because it's almost like everything with the benders, all their weapons is based off of their bending. So even all the gunships on the actual ships were literally just like empty tubes that firebenders would shoot their fire through. I'm guessing once it's been channeled through the tube, it shoots out even stronger than when they bend it. So I actually thought that was kind of interesting. And just those little nuances that they use to describe how these benders fight. So I thought that was actually kind of cool. So anyway, Korra saves General Iroh, and they actually all escape again. And basically, Amon wins that first round. They do retreat, and you know, we do find out a little bit more information about Korra, that she can heal with her water bending. So it looks like Katara did teach her how to bend with her, to heal with her bending. So she heals General Iroh, and they actually come up with a new plan. And we also get introduced into another character. We finally get to hear from one of Tenzin's brothers, which is also named Bumi. So Bumi is Aang's other son, and he is actually the secondary leader of another fleet of ships that are he sent out a message via telegraph for him to, you know, to hold off until they get the all clear signal, because again, they didn't want them getting attacked by those ships. So they actually do end up locating where the ships are, and that's where everyone decides to part, because Korra decides that she's not going to go with them, that she's going to try to confront Amon head on, and she wants to kind of just end this. So, of course, with him just being in love now, you know, Mako decides that he's going to go with Korra so she's not alone, which actually ends up being a good idea. So, Korra and Mako end up going their way to face Amon, while Bolin and General Iroh and Asami stay together so they can stop the airplane attacks from coming back in, so they won't destroy the second fleet that's coming in. So it's almost like a divide and conquer situation. Now, as far as the action goes in this episode, that was pretty much generally it. But even after that, that's when we get the first huge reveal from the series. What happens is Mako and Korra infiltrate Air Temple Island. They break in, and they end up finding out that Amon did not kill Tarlok. He did take his bending. He actually had him locked away in the cell. And one of my predictions comes true. A lot of you guys out there said it as well. Tarlok and Amon are brothers. I freaking knew it. I knew it. Like, and again, once he said it, it was like it almost felt like I had an Avatar moment. All this information started flowing in, and everything that was missing made sense. It made sense why he was able to stop the bloodbending, because he's a bloodbender himself. He basically stopped Tarlok's bloodbending with his own bloodbending, and because he was the older brother, he was able to overpower Tarlok because he was a bloodbending prodigy. And of course, by knowing that Tarlok and Amon are brothers, you both know that their dad is Yakone, and it just also fortifies why Aang was trying to give Korra these messages about Amon. I mean, about not about Amon, about Yakone. She thought it was just to stop Tarlok, but it wasn't. Aang was giving her these visions because Aang must have known that Yakone. She told about Yakone so that when the time comes, she would know about Tarlok and then find out about Amon. So it was basically like she interpreted it a little bit differently than Aang intended, but in the end, she ended up finding out the lesson in the first place. In the end, so I actually thought that was kind of great. And then we get this fantastic backstory on Amon. And again, this is what this show does great. This show gives you a character, they establish this character, and they just give you so much story. Like I can't praise the show enough. I'm sorry. So basically, you get Amon's backstory. He is actually a waterbender. Yakone actually got escaped from jail with the help of his followers. He gets some surgery to change the way he looks, and he settles down in the waterbending tribe. Meets a nice young lady, gets married, has 2 kids, etc. You know, the rest is history. And then what ends up happening is that Yakone teaches his kids how to waterbend and then how to bloodbend, and then teaches them how to bloodbend without the use of a full moon, because apparently their bloodline comes from a bunch of very strong bloodbenders. For all we know, they could probably be associated with that young lady, with an old lady at that point that taught Katara how to bloodbend. So, you know, who knows? We'll probably won't ever figure that out. But essentially, you know, they teach both of the boys how to bloodbend. Tarlok is not as a younger boy. He wasn't really up to the challenge, and it actually just turned Yakone pretty. I said not Yakone. It's too many damn names getting floating around right now. Amon. He ends up going crazy from the training and all. You know, he just basically gets a chip on his shoulder. He essentially runs away. Tarlok and Yakone never find him. He goes off to do his own thing. Yakone ends up dying eventually of old age. The rest is history. So we get this awesome backstory. We finally figure out what the deal is with Amon. Korra now has to confront him because, again, she knows he's a very powerful bloodbender and he can deflect all of her moves. And this is how he's able to deflect all of his bending, because of the power of his mind and the use of his bloodbending. So that pretty much ends episode 11. It ends on that note. Then we get the start of episode 12. And episode 12 takes it from here and sends it into outer space. Again, this show just keeps giving you more and more and more. I don't know how I'm gonna last not being able to see any more Legend of Korra for however many months they decide to put it on hold. Like, we're gonna have to start sending letters to Nickelodeon that they're gonna have to get that thing moving ASAP. Like, seriously. So, all right. Episode 12 starts off with Korra and Mako. They end up trying to infiltrate the meeting that's going on, and they want to basically try to expose Amon to his group to say, hey, you think he's not a bender, but in actuality he is a bender, and on top of that he's a bloodbender. And they do expose him, but of course the crowd doesn't believe him right away. And then again, the show just takes you and just flips you on top of your head. Amon raises the tablet up from out the ground, and who was there? The airbending kids. I mean, they somehow caught Tenzin, Milo, and the 2 girls, and they locked Penma away with the baby in jail. I was so shocked when I saw this. I was like, how the hell did they get away? Like, I was just so pissed. Like, right when I thought things couldn't get any worse, they freaking did. And of course, I'm like, he didn't, oh my God, he's going to take the airbending away. He's going to take it away. But luckily, with some quick thinking, you know, Korra and Mako decided to just jump in there, and they were firebending like some pros. Like, I gotta say, Mako, that dude is a pretty strong bender. I have to give him some credit. That dude held his own in many ways. I have to definitely give a clap for my boy Mako. He definitely proved himself to be able to stand toe to toe with any bender or equalist. Um, Essentially, what happens next is this huge battle between Amon and Korra and Mako. You know, they free Tenzin and his family, and then he gets them out of Dodge quickly. Uh, and then they're left there to fight. And the scene shifts because then we go back to, remember how I said earlier, uh, Bolin, Asami, and General Iroh, they literally are going to the airfield to try to stop that. They essentially get, you know, caught as well from this electrified fence, but then they wake up in jail. Pabu saves them, and they are able to break free, and then they're going to stop the airships. And again, this is where Iroh shows his bloodline, I guess, because again, he is actually quite the firebender. He can actually firebend and fly with it, just like Azula, and eventually just like Zuko. And this dude is awesome. Like, he's taking out these ships. He's literally like flying the plane. The plane that he's flying gets attacked. He firebends, flies to another plane, gets on that plane, destroys it, and takes that one over. Like, this dude is lightning bending. He's like shooting lightning at people. He is just kicking ass and taking names, basically. And I really hope he's in season 2, because that guy is awesome, and I want to see more of him. Definitely. Bolin actually played a lower role in the last 2 episodes. I mean, he was definitely there for the comic relief. He did a couple of earthbending things that were, you know, noticeable. He destroyed the airfield so the planes couldn't get away. But other than that, he kind of played a minor role in these last 2 episodes, which is cool. Again, everyone already knows that he kind of took that Sokka role, where he's going to be that guy that makes you laugh through the episodes, but he also can earthbend with the best of them. Not a metal bender, but, you know, season 2, who knows? Sami definitely gets to get a resolution with her dad, and as Bolin said, he is the worst dad on the planet. Asami and her dad have a mech battle. You know, Asami ends up getting the upper hand with the help of Bolin, and, you know, that's kind of how that whole situation was left. Then we jump back to the Amon battle with Korra. You know, this thing is getting fast and furious. You know, they're battling, and the worst happened. Amon actually, you know, catches both of them and is bloodbending them. The Two Sticks, as you guys know, I call him. He General, as Amon calls him, his lieutenant. He actually sees them, you know, him bloodbending. So Amon promptly bloodbends him and tosses his ass to the wayside, and he actually does take Korra's bending. And at this point, I'm like, holy shit. He actually took her bending. Like, I'm freaking out at this point. I'm just like, all right, come on, just use your brain. They're not going to get rid of the girl's bending. Something has to happen. And of course, another prediction that I saw on the boards and a lot of people were talking about was that if Amon ever did take Korra's bending, it would actually unlock her air bending, and that's exactly what happened. He did take her earth, fire, and water bending, but it ended up unlocking her air bending. And when she unlocked her air bending, she was fierce. And I guess her having such a tough exterior and almost having like brute force, her air bending is just phenomenal. Like, she's literally throwing jabs. She's not like, you know, you can, like, her fighting style with air bending is a lot different than Tenzin's. Tenzin's is usually more like fluid motions and, you know, things of that nature. Korra's like boxing, throwing punches and kicks, and just literally beating the hell out of Amon. He actually takes her down again with bloodbending. Mako comes in with a very nice electric shock to Amon that puts him on his ass. You know, eventually what ends up happening is Amon gets shot out the window. The whole area sees that he really is a waterbender, and he runs off like a little punk. I'm going to speed this up a little bit because, again, it was so much to cover. I can't cover everything in this video, but again, I definitely want to hit a few key points before I go, and I just definitely want to talk in general. Essentially, what happens is they save Republic City. Amon actually goes back, releases Tarlok, and they go run off in the speedboat. Korra's bending is gone at this point. You know, she goes back to where Katara is, because, you know, Katara apparently is the greatest healer in the entire world, which isn't a surprise because, again, if anyone knows that Katara was a fantastic healer in the original series. So if anyone could heal her, it would be Katara. And of course, Katara cannot heal her, but she does have her airbending. She actually runs off. She's very upset, and basically she gets to her lowest point. And by doing so, she finally unlocks her connection to the previous avatars. And there is Aang in his prime, and he's talking to Korra. It's fantastic. You know, they're having a conversation, and he unlocks her ability and gives her back all her bending. Like, I actually thought that this episode was going to end with her just knowing her airbending, and I thought what was going to happen for season 2 would be her just relearning the elements, and you know, that's how I thought it was going to be. No, they literally closed every door, and I mean every door. Korra gets her bending back. Not only does she get her bending back, she unlocks the Avatar state, and she looks fantastic unlocking the Avatar state. And the best part of this episode has to be when she gives my second wife, Lin Bei Fong, her bending back. I was very excited to see her get her bending back. I almost shed a tear. Almost. And she actually levitated all these rocks, and, you know, Bowen looking on in amazement like, this woman is amazing. So again, overall, this episode was flawless. It closed every door. The only thing I say last to talk about is, and again, the one problem that I had with this episode was I felt like it didn't really show the casualties of war. You know, when the warships were getting attacked, every time a ship got blown up, you saw people jumping off into the water just to show fans, oh, they're not dying, they all just got away. Or like every time a plane got shot out of the sky, you know, you see the obligatory person jumping out of the airplane and using his parachute. And I thought it was a little bit cheesy. I'm like, this show is a little bit more adult than the normal series. And I do realize that the younger audience, but they do realize that people can die. So again, just showing people, that's how they used to do it in the 80s with the original G.I. Joe. Like the original G.I. Joe shows, like when the vehicles got blown up, every time they would jump out of the tank and run away, or if it's in a plane, they would always eject. No one would ever die. They would always just jump out of the vehicle before it exploded. And that used to piss me off then, but it pissed me off now. But again, the only reason why I'm bringing it up is because they actually did take a hard stance on one thing. Tarlok and Amon are driving off in a speedboat, and they're conversating with each other, talking about how their lives are going to be better, and da-da-da-da. Tarlok reaches in, grabs one of the Equalist electric shock bracelets, screws the cap off of the gas tank, and says, you know what, we will have a great life, brother. Puts his hands on it. The entire ship explodes. They both die. Like, literally, that was probably the most shocking part of the episode, is when Tarlok and his brother actually die, because it actually definitely puts a seal on season 1. So we won't be seeing Tarlok, we won't be seeing Amon coming back next season. Best believe them dudes is dead. They are flash fried, dead. And I definitely had to applaud the writers for that, because again, I was really upset at first about how nobody actually got killed in that war, but then to see the two main protagonists get killed at the end, that was crazy. But again, I'm done running my mouth. I'm dying to hear what you guys have to think about the episode. So I want to see you guys start commenting in the section below. Definitely, please subscribe to my videos. Check out my just go ahead, click on the channel. You know, check out my other videos that I've done on the Legend of Korra. I've done some Dragon Ball, all types of stuff. And of course, thumbs up the video. You know, either rate it bad, negative, however you want to do it. I'd appreciate it. This is Showing Off the King, and you guys have a fantastic weekend.